There we go. All right, we're gonna wait another minute or so just to see if we can get anybody else to join us. Thank you all so much for being here this evening. Just to go over a few technical things while we're getting set up. So we're going to be asking questions throughout the program. So if you could go, if you're watching on a computer, on the bottom of your screen, there's a little box with a message bubble that says chat underneath it. So if you click on that, the questions will be appearing there. And then if you could answer those when those come up, that will really help us out. Great, we have another person joining us. Welcome. We're just going to wait another minute or so. I was giving a few instructions about how to participate in this program this evening. So we'll be asking questions in our chat box today. So if you have an answer or if you'd like to contribute to the conversation today, if you could pull up that chat box, we'll go ahead and put information in there this evening. As always, we'll be asking questions at the end of the program. So if you have any of those, the best bet would be to put them in the Q&A box today, just so that we can keep them separate from our questions that we're asking during the program. So again, if you pull up that chat box, you'll be able to see those if you're watching with us in Zoom. And I'll put the same information in the chat box on YouTube as well. So if you're watching from there, you can contribute there too. I'll be watching both of them. My name is Annie Tillman. I'm the Adult Program Coordinator here at the library. We appreciate you being here, and I'd like to introduce Julie Gentile to talk to us today about how to take care of yourself in all of these crazy times.
Hi everyone, I'm Julie Gentile and welcome to Yoga and Self-Care to help you stay calm in chaos. I am so grateful you're here, and I'm excited to be here with you virtually to talk about one of my favorite topics, self-care. So before we get going, I invite you just to get comfortable, get some water, to stay hydrated throughout the session, and just find a comfortable seat, wherever that may be. So we're here today for self-care and to learn how it can help us stay calm in chaos. And these days continue to be very different days, as we all know. We've replaced many in-person meetings and activities with virtual ones. And somehow it seems like our minds are still very active. Today, you're showing up for your self-care just by being here. And before we go deeper into our self-care journey, I want to share a little bit about me and why self-care is so important to me. So I'm a full-time working mom of little ones who are participating in virtual learning, and I'm working mostly remotely right now. It seems like a screen is following me everywhere I go these days, so screens just kind of I'm also the author of the award-winning book, 108 Yoga and Self-Care Practices for Busy Mamas, which was published in 2019, and the newly released book, How to Stay Calm in Chaos, an Everyday Self-Care Guide, which was published this August. I'm the creator of the Stand Up for Your Self-Care blog and YouTube channel, and my articles have been published by numerous health and wellness publications and websites. I'm here to share that self-care is possible even in chaos. In fact, I'm able to do what I do every day because I practice self-care. Self-care has never been more important than it is right now. There are 4 self-care practices that we'll cover today, and these are some of my favorites. They're things I do every day, and they've helped me stay calm well before the pandemic and during many, many moments of chaos, and they can help you too. Plus, they're either free or low cost. So let me repeat that. You don't have to spend a lot of money on self-care to live well, and you run by taking better care of yourself. Scientifically, it's the first thing that comes to mind. What does self-care mean to you? And we'll give you another minute or so to just type in, what does self-care mean to you? Great, so I'm seeing some answers come through. Staying healthy and happy. Yes. Yeah, so thank you for those of you who are typing in the chat some of the meaning behind self-care for you. Self-love, being comfortable, great responses. And so any other thoughts that come up, just go ahead and type them in, pop them on the chat. But really, self-care is going beyond brushing your teeth and taking a shower. It's any practice you regularly do, like exercising, eating healthy meals at consistent times every day, that really nurture and nourish your whole being, your physical, emotional, spiritual, and beyond. And so self-care is a lifelong practice, and with it comes great responsibility and accountability, because your well-being is literally in your hands with your daily routines and choices. So there are two basic things about self-care to remember. One is it's for everyone. And the second is it's highly individualized. So self-care is for everyone and it's highly individualized. I often like to describe self-care in terms of a bucket. So visualize a bucket. Imagine its color, its size. And every time you practice self-care, maybe something simple like drinking a full glass of water, visualize adding a drop to your bucket. Now visualize that you continue to add drops to the bucket the more self-care you practice. Eventually, your self-care bucket becomes so full of drops that it starts to overflow with abundance, with feeling better because you gave to yourself. You invested in your well-being, and now you can give more to others. Your well-being cannot be an afterthought, especially now in times of chaos. It's so easy to just let it be an afterthought and be the last person on your list. But when you give to yourself, you could, again, give so much more to others and more really to life when you show up. And today, you'll learn how you can begin to put yourself first on your list. It is possible. And so adding another question here to the group, what are your main barriers to self-care? So if you could just type in the chat, we'll take a minute to add your response. Here, what are your main barriers to self-care? It could be the first thing that comes to mind. And we'll give everyone just a few more seconds here to add your main barriers to self-care. Yes. So there's a response that says not enough time. Another one that says long work hours. Society's expectations. Yes. All of these are absolutely barriers to self-care, right? And I like to also say it's almost how we perceive them too. And that goes back to putting ourselves on the top of our list. So we'll talk more about this and how we could really have more of this. And someone just said work and child balance, right? That work-life integration, and how we really can have more of this work-life integration and bring more balance into our lives by nourishing our whole being with self-care. So thank you so much for those responses. I think, those are all so relatable. And in common. I think a lot of people have these barriers in common. So thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to follow that question up with, what is your favorite self-care practice? So again, if you could just type in the chat your favorite self-care practice, something to help you maybe overcome these barriers or to prioritize your own well-being, your own nourishing of your whole well-being. And we'll give everyone just a minute or so to answer. Yeah, so I'm seeing answers coming in. Thank you so much for participating. Walks, exercise, yoga, yes. Eating healthy and on time. Very important to eat consistently every single day, right? So if you have breakfast every day at 7 a.m., the following day, breakfast every day at 7 a.m., our bodies operate on these internal clocks. Very important for self-care. And me time. Yes, a favorite self-care practice is definitely me time, but what does me time mean to you, right? And a break to do something for me to relax, reading. Yes, reading is definitely one of my self-care practices. Entertainment, laughter, these are all wonderful examples of self-care practices that we can be doing. Yes, something that I enjoy, crafts, reading, entertainment. Absolutely. Well, thank you again for sharing that. Art, absolutely, art is another way to practice self-care and really embody creativity. And, you know, one of my favorite self-care practices, and I really enjoy all of these self-care practices that you all listed, really one of my favorite self-care practices is quality sleep, which is the first self-care topic we'll cover today. So self-care topic number 1. Quality sleep. I can't talk about self-care without talking about sleep. Sleep is the number 1 self-care practice I recommend, and it's something we do every day anyway. But the importance of it is often underrated or forgotten because many of us are constantly doing more and more, or at least our minds are. And sleep has so many benefits, so many more benefits than we could ever even give it credit for. Sleep hygiene is critical to well-being. In fact, it's a pillar of well-being. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 1 in 3 adults aren't getting enough sleep. So we have a poll that we're going to share just to kind of poll the group. How much sleep are you getting every night on average? More than 9 hours, 8 to 9 hours, 7 hours, less than 7 hours. I already saw a few people already said 7 hours consistently. That's me, right? 7 hours right across the board. He's 8 to 9, okay. Yeah, 7 hours seems to be a number that I hear a lot. I also hear folks reporting 5 or 6 hours a lot as well. I typically don't hear more than 9 or even the 8 to 9. Yeah, so what I'm seeing, yes, the 7 hours really is the time that I see a lot of people kind of aiming for that 7 hours. And really what's important about sleep and self-care is giving yourself that window of sleep opportunity. So for those folks who answered 7 hours, is that going into bed and then 7 hours later kind of getting out of bed? Or is that kind of giving yourself like an 8-hour sleep window? So 20 minutes to fall asleep, for example. So the recommended amount of sleep is 7 to 9 hours every night. And for many of us, getting good sleep has not been our reality, especially right now during a pandemic or during any other times of chaos. We might wake up in the middle of the night, or we might just not be able to fall asleep. So how can we get better sleep? There are some ways, and I'm going to share some with you today. These are some self-care tips to help you get better sleep starting tonight. And so the first tip I want to share is stick to a sleep schedule. We already talked a little bit about a schedule for eating breakfast, eating lunch, eating dinner. The same thing goes to a sleep schedule. So sticking to a schedule of going to bed and waking up at the same time every day. And really, so if you're going to bed by 10 p.m. every night, that'll look the same every single night, even on weekends. And that's, again, going to help train your body to consistently wake up at the same time every day and get tired at the same time every day, and maybe not even need an alarm clock at all. And so being in bed by 10 or 11 p.m. at the latest really does help our internal clock, and giving yourself that window of opportunity, like we talked about, to sleep for 8 or 9 hours really a night. If you're a night owl, start to go to bed 15 minutes earlier every night for a few nights, and just start to work your way back in 15-minute increments until you get to that 10 to 11 p.m. time frame. And just start small. It doesn't have to be these great big steps, starting today, starting tomorrow, but maybe if you just go to bed 15 minutes earlier, if you're a night owl today, that could be huge and so significant to your self-care, because then when you wake up tomorrow morning, you might be even more refreshed than you ever have felt. And so another tip is to go to sleep by the first wave of tiredness you feel. So if you are staying up way past that wave of that first tiredness that you feel, it's easy to keep going for several more hours because you get a second wind. And once you get that second wind, it's more challenging to fall asleep. So oftentimes when you get that second wind or that burst of energy, at that point, you're already starting to clean the closet, baking muffins at 10 p.m. at night, right? We've all been there. We've kind of pushed past the threshold of tiredness just to do more or just to stay up later. But that again goes back to that sticking to a sleep schedule. I know some folks even set an alarm. Instead of waking up in the morning, they'll set an alarm to go to bed. And that'll be like, oh, yeah, that's a reminder. It's bedtime. I need to start to wind down. Using technology mindfully and minimizing your screen time at night is another sleep self-care tip. So adults in the US check their phones more than 80 times a day, and many sleep next to these pings and rings of their phones, so their sleep is often disrupted and their chances of getting quality sleep plummet. So I'd like to share to turn off your screens at least an hour before you go to bed. So that's going to help you already start to unwind if you're not looking at a TV or a laptop or a cell phone or any of your other devices, and also limit what you read online, really to minimize or reduce headline anxiety, especially just before bed. When I go to bed, I know I set my phone on the do not disturb mode. I shut off all notifications, so I know that at least that will not be something that will wake me up in the middle of the night, because there are plenty of things to wake all of us up in the middle of the night, right? Sounds, etc., and we'll get into that. So I also use a sleep mask to block out any lights. And so here's one of my sleep masks that I have. And a lot of people have shared with me that they use blackout curtains too. So that might be an option for you, but this sleep mask says do not disturb, right? Literally, we're blocking out light. We don't want that to disturb us from good quality sleep. Another thing you could do is wear an earplug, one or two. I know I wear only one earplug in my ear because I'm a side sleeper, but the earplugs are going to help block out unnecessary noise, just like the sleep mask is going to help block out that unnecessary light. So earplugs are great, right? Not just for going to concerts or on airplanes, but also while you sleep. I also recommend using a fan or opening a window to keep you cool. I think temperature is often overlooked when getting and trying to get a quality night's sleep. The optimal sleeping temperature is really around 65 degrees. So when I think of that, I often think of our ancestors sleeping in a cool, quiet, dark cave, right? And so a fan also doubles as a white noise machine. So you can kind of get a 2-for-1 to keep you cool and also block out some noise. But really think about lowering your temperature, especially if your temperature is super high at night. So just being mindful of that when you go to bed tonight, and notice if you get a better night's sleep when your temperature is more hovering around that 65-degree range. And so letting dinner be your smallest meal of the day is another great way to help you get quality sleep at night. And eating a small dinner, a small meal really before 7 p.m. is going to help your body work on rejuvenating overnight. So we rejuvenate, right? Overnight, our bodies, our brains, we're rejuvenating constantly when we're sleeping. And it's going to allow your body to not work on digesting your meal while you sleep. And I know a lot of folks often share with me that dinner is their largest meal of the day, but really lunch should be the biggest meal of the day, because we're not only allowing our body to digest our meal throughout the day when we eat lunch between noon and 1:30 or 2, but that's around that time of day is really when the sun and your digestive power are at their peak. So your digestion is going to work for you when you eat your larger meal midday, as opposed to toward the end of the evening. And so the last self-care sleep-related tip I want to share with you is to create a bedtime routine to start to wind down from your day. It could be as simple as reading a few pages in a book. And I know one of you did share that reading is a self-care practice for you. And I continue to encourage you to keep up with that practice of reading. I know I grew up reading thousands and thousands of books, libraries, bookstores. I mean, spent so many hours in them, and reading is really a joy for me. And I encourage you to find, a self-care practice like reading that is going to help you to wind down. And so some of the self-care practices we'll cover today will help you to get to this wind down routine. And one of the other self-care practices I do is journal. And so I journal every night before I go to bed. And so that's our self-care practice number 2 today. So journaling, and this is one of my many journals. I get a lot of my journals from the dollar store. This one says, "My thoughts." If you've never tried journaling, today's the day. Even if you don't consider yourself a writer and have never tried it, it is one of my go-tos to help me think more clearly and to organize the thoughts and feelings from my day. There are many ways to journal. There's gratitude journaling, reflection, free form, using writing prompts. You don't have to follow any of them if you don't want to. You can be a journal rebel, and you can write about whatever comes to mind. An idea you had from the day, or write a letter to yourself or to someone else, anything to really get you in the practice of writing. So half of the self-care practices in my book, 108 Yoga and Self-Care Practices for Busy Mamas, are journaling prompts to really help you reflect and to get you started with journaling. A few years ago, I had actually kept 4 journals, each with a different purpose. I had a journal for several purposes. And when I started to write more, it started to flow more, right? More naturally out of me. And now I have 2 journals, and it's really a daily freeform journal that I write in, and a weekly reflection journal that I do use. And writing is another way that I am practicing self-care, but it's specifically writing in a journal. And that, again, could look very different from you than your neighbor or your friend. And it's really for you in your eyes. And so I have a simple writing prompt to get you started with journaling tonight. And I know we'll add this one to the chat as well, but you could write a few words, a paragraph, a few pages, whatever kind of comes to mind for you once you see the prompt. And the prompt is, what is one self-care practice you would like to try and why? Maybe it's something you haven't tried before, or you have a family member or a friend who's tried it and you're curious about it. And so, again, I encourage you to write about this tonight, to just start a journaling practice or to continue one if you already have one. And just reflect on a self-care practice you would like to try and why. What's the reason behind it? And so writing really does help move emotions and experiences through me and onto a page. Another thing that helps me move my thoughts along so that I can think more clearly is exercise. And exercise, or really movement, any kind of movement you enjoy, is self-care practice number 3 that we'll cover today. And so we know that sitting is now kind of named the new smoking. And these days we're sitting in our cars, at our desks, on couches, at the kitchen table. In fact, many people are working remotely at their kitchen table these days. And exercise keeps your body and mind healthy. It releases feel-good endorphins. I know every time I exercise, I feel better. I physically, mentally, emotionally feel better. And I have more energy as a result, even if I didn't feel necessarily very energetic when I started my exercise for the day or my workout for the day. Toward the middle of it, toward the end, I have so much more energy, so much more. So the American Heart Association recommends that 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise is on your calendar every week. So for example, for you, that might look like 30 minutes of movement a day, 5 days a week. Maybe you want to do it in longer stretches, in 1 hour stretches, and less days. It's really whatever works with your work-life integration, your daily routines, your schedule. And so it's either that 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise every week or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity aerobic exercise every week. And really, the thought behind that is just to move more, right? And so to move every day, whether it's a walk outside. I know during the pandemic, I have definitely been walking outside much more than I ever have. And I walked outside quite frequently before. But if it's not a walk outside, if you're not able to get outside, maybe it's working out with a video or an app or an at-home yoga practice. I know my YouTube channel, Stand Up for Your Self-Care, is a great place to start for an at-home yoga practice. It covers yoga poses, meditations, breathing exercises. Movement is essential to our well-being. And I aim to fit in the trifecta, is what I call it, the trifecta of exercise every week. So that's the cardio, the strength, and the flexibility. So there's that trifecta of exercise. And the key with exercise is that it's meant to be enjoyed, not forced. I know there was a period in my life where I was doing exercise, just purely out of not necessarily being forced to do it, but just not out of enjoyment. And so these days, my exercise looks so much different because I choose to enjoy my exercise now. I want to do something that makes me feel good, and going back to that full nourishing my mind, body, spirit, and beyond, and not just the physical being. And something simple that I have enjoyed during the pandemic, as I've shared, is walking in nature. And so I really have discovered so many new trails and paths just by getting outside more. I know one of my monthly self-care challenges that I had for myself was to just get outside more recently. And that encouraged more and more walking, and really just to watch the sunset or the sunrise while you're walking, or just to notice the trees swaying in the breeze or the birds chirping in a different way that maybe you've never noticed before, is so incredible and so peaceful. I think on such a different level that many of us maybe have not recognized before. I know it was tough for me to recognize a lot of those things, especially with chaos swirling around, so many things going on. Just going outside, stepping outside, and then just kind of letting nature be your guide as you go on a walk. Also, pick a time of day that works for you and that's easy for you to stick to every day when it comes to exercise. So if you dedicate 30 minutes in the morning to exercise, either your walk outside, your video, your app, etc., just stick to that every day, kind of like you're sticking to a bedtime routine, a meal time routine, etc. And if you miss one of your exercise routines or your workouts for the day, you can move it to later in the day. But I just wouldn't recommend having the workout be too close to bedtime, because that may impact your sleep quality for that evening. So if you exercise way too close to bedtime, that might impact the quality of sleep that you're getting. The last thing I wanted to mention is that when it comes to movement, one of my favorite ways to move is through yoga. And that's the fourth self-care practice that we'll cover today. And in yoga, you can move your body, but you can also move your breath and your thoughts, as we'll see in our self-care sequence this evening. So yoga is really a big part of my self-care practice, just like all the other practices we've already covered. But my yoga practice is the main way I've been able to cope with times of chaos. And it's not necessarily in those moments of chaos, it's that too, but it's kind of doing pre-work, because moments of chaos are, I think, inevitable in so many of our lives. And it's things we didn't even see coming. It's things that we could never even have predicted. And so a yoga practice helps us do that pre-work to prepare us for the times when, you know what, we're in chaos, or there's something that we never anticipated. And I know I'm not alone with yoga being one of my main forms of self-care practice during times of chaos. A 2016 Yoga in America study by Yoga Journal and Yoga Alliance showed that more than 36 million people in the US practice yoga. And people come to yoga for a variety of reasons. They come for physical movement, to relieve stress, to help with anxiety and depression, to improve posture, for balance, to increase stability, for quality of life, so many reasons. Some people come to it because they're curious. There's just so many reasons. And the reason that you come to your mat or you come to a yoga practice is absolutely right. It's the reason for you. So I took my first yoga class at a YMCA 12 years ago. I was new to the workforce. I had a stressful commute. I needed a way to let go of mounting stress and really mounting chaos in my life as I saw it. And that was my perspective. And before I came out of the last pose of my first yoga class ever, I knew I would one day teach yoga. I felt so much better from the practice, and I had to share this with others. That night, I actually went home. I read my horoscope, as I always did, and my horoscope referenced yoga. And when people think about yoga, many people think about the movement part, right? Because that's what we see. We think about, oh, the poses. While that can certainly be part of a practice, and it is for a lot of folks, yoga is more than a physical practice. It's more than the poses. It's more than the asanas, the postures. It's a path and a lifestyle. And today we'll cover some simple seated stretches, a breathing exercise, and a meditation that you can do at home. Again, in times of chaos, as that pre-work to prep for any times of chaos that may be to come. And know that it is your choice to participate in these poses, in these exercises, and that is always an option to observe. So many of us have been hunching over a screen, a table, a desk, all day long in this virtual world that we're living in. And so we're going to move through a yoga self-care sequence that you can do anytime you need a break to just move and breathe. So there's no right time to do this sequence, but I want to walk you through it today. So just begin in a comfortable seat in your chair, and just start to move your back away from the back of your chair just a couple inches. Allow your spine right away to be tall and long. Ground your feet. Make sure your knees are stacked over your ankles. You can just rest your hands on your knees or thighs. And gently close your eyes for a moment, or keep a soft gaze right in front of you. And right away, begin to notice your physical body. Become aware of your posture. Become aware of where your head is in space. Become aware of your shoulders, where your skin touches the chair, maybe your clothes touching the chair. Begin to scan your body for any areas of tightness or tension. And draw your awareness to your nose. Notice the sensation of breath going in and out through your nostrils. Notice if your breath is getting stuck anywhere or if it is free flowing, just like a continuously running stream with soft, subtle ripples. And as thoughts come into your mind, gently let them fade. If more thoughts come into your mind, acknowledge them, and then without any judgment or any attachment, just start to let these thoughts go. Begin to deepen your inhales and exhales. And then return to your natural breath. Gently open your eyes if they were closed. And hands could stay right on the legs. We'll begin with a simple neck stretch. Just simply draw your right ear towards your right shoulder. Feel the stretch on the left side of your neck and shoulder. Gently roll your chin to your chest. Draw your left ear this time towards your left shoulder. Pause. Relax both shoulders. And roll chin to chest. And we'll repeat that 2 more times. So roll right ear toward right shoulder. Keep both shoulders relaxed. Roll your chin to your chest. And then gently roll your left ear towards your left shoulder. Repeat 1 more time here with your own breath at your own pace. Keep softness through your shoulders, through your throat, through your heart. And then gently bring your chin down toward your heart and feel the stretch in the back of your neck. And slowly stack your head right up over your heart and see if you can draw your inner ears over your shoulders. So that just means you just take that head back a little bit in space. We'll move right into individual shoulder shrugs. So we're going to reset our shoulders a little bit here. So individually, we'll start with our right shoulder first. Draw your right shoulder up to your ear. Inhale. And then open mouth, exhale, relax the shoulder. Again, inhale, shoulder comes up. Open mouth, exhale, let that go. 1 more time, just like that on this right side. Inhale, draw it up. Open mouth, exhale, release. All right, let's balance out the opposite side. So we're going to draw the left shoulder up to the ear. Inhale. Open mouth, exhale, release your shoulder. Again, inhale, draw your shoulder up. Open mouth, exhale, let it go. 1 more, just like that. Inhale, draw the shoulder up. Open mouth, exhale, relax it. We're going to bring both shoulders up at the same time, 3 times. Inhale, draw your shoulders up. Open mouth, exhale, let the shoulders go. 2 more times. Inhale, draw your shoulders up. Open mouth, exhale, let them go. 1 more time, just like that. Inhale, draw your shoulders up. Open mouth, exhale, let them both go. Great. Another shoulder stretch. This time it's actually a roll. So we're going to inhale, draw your shoulders up to your ears. Exhale, bring your shoulders forward, and then just relax them down. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, draw your shoulders up toward your ears. Exhale, bring them forward, and then release them. 1 more time going in this direction. Inhale, draw your shoulders up. Exhale, take them forward, and release. Opposite side. This time our shoulders are going to draw up, back, and down. Inhale, take your shoulders up towards your ears. Exhale, take them way back in space and then drop them down. 2 more times. Inhale, roll your shoulders up. Exhale, take them back behind you and then reset them down. 1 more time. Inhale, draw your shoulders up. Exhale, take them way back behind you and then gently release them down. Coming into a wrist stretch. So again, a lot of us are typing, texting all day long, and this one's really going to help the wrists. I know at one point I had carpal tunnel, and so I've done tons of wrist stretches, including this one to help me with any wrist issues that I have. So start to draw your right arm forward and make a stop sign with that right hand. And take the fingers of your left hand, pushing into the fingers of your right hand. And just start to push the fingers in toward your heart. And just notice where you feel the stretch. Relax your shoulders as you stretch your wrists. And take your hand in the opposite direction. So we're going to roll the fingers downward this time. And then same thing, take those left fingers into the fingers of the right hand. See if you can get your thumb in there. If not, that's okay. And just start to draw your fingers towards your heart once again. Relax your shoulders and breathe. Take another full breath in and full breath out. And go ahead and release the hands. Make fists with your hands, but gentle fists. We'll start to roll your wrists one way and then roll them the opposite way. Great. Same thing, opposite side. So really extend your left arm forward, make a stop sign with that hand, and take the right fingers in onto the fingers of that left hand. See if you can get that thumb in there. If not, no worries. And start to draw your fingers in towards your heart once again, and notice which side feels tighter, maybe which side is carrying more tension. Notice how both sides are different. And then spin your fingers the opposite way. So fingers face down. Same thing, hand comes onto the fingers just to push the fingers in towards your heart. Relax your shoulders a little more, just soften them. One more full breath in and full breath out. And go ahead and release that stretch. Same thing, soft fists with the hands. Roll your wrists one way and the opposite way. All right, release that. Take your hands onto your knees. So you want to take your hands right onto the front of your knees. And from here, we'll come through to a seated cat-cow. So inhale, look up toward the ceiling and shine your heart forward. So just a little look up. And then as you exhale, start to round. So draw your belly button in toward the spine and then look toward your belly button. Inhale, find some length in the spine to lift up. Squeeze your shoulders together, gaze up. And then exhale, round once again into your seated cat-cow, looking towards your belly button. One more time, just like that. Hands stay on knees as you inhale. Think about shining the light in your heart forward and looking up. And then as you exhale, really round. Think about a Halloween cat rounding its spine, drawing your gaze towards your belly button. And then just release out of that, stacking spine tall and long. All right, from here, start to draw your arms straight up in front of you. Allow your palms to stay faced here. And take your left hand onto your right wrist and just reach right on over to your left-hand side. Keep your arms in line with your ears. One more breath here. And come back through to center. Inhale, release the hands. This time your right hand finds the left wrist and reach right on over to your right-hand side. Just keep your arms as straight as you can. And your arms in alignment with your ears as best as you can. And just notice where you feel this stretch. One more full breath in. And full breath out. And come back through the center with those arms. Inhale, and exhale, just take your hands off to the side. So a variation of that lateral stretch or that side stretch is to take your left hand and place it either on the chair, couch next to you, or even hold the side of the chair if you're sitting on a chair. Just taking that hand there. And then draw your right arm up. You can start to lean your right arm over to that left-hand side. So again, just another variation of that side stretch. You can take that top arm and just allow it to be super, super straight. On an angle overhead. And come back through center, inhale, and almost like you're tick-tocking your arm, just switch it up. We'll take the right hand either onto the couch or the chair next to you, and then draw your left arm up, inhale, and then reach right on over to your right hand side. And here with your gaze, you can look down toward your legs or maybe off to your right, or even underneath that top arm, whatever is more comfortable for you and your neck. Inhale, come back up through to center, release the hands back onto the thighs. And the last yoga seated stretch that we'll do is a simple seated twist. So if you need to come forward from your chair a little bit more, go ahead and do that if you've kind of scooched back toward the back of your chair. And we'll start with a twist to the left. Take your left hand behind you. So just behind you, again, you could ground it onto your chair or the couch. And then your right hand is going to come to the outside of your left knee. Again, this is a simple twist. So inhale, find a little bit of length from the crown of your head. And then think about your heart leading you through this twist. So start to twist a little bit toward the left. Does not have to be much. It could just be an inch or two. Inhale, find a little bit more length. If you'd like, you can maybe look over your shoulder, your left shoulder. One more breath in, find an inch more of length. And then exhale, return everything back to center, so facing forward. We'll do that same thing, opposite side. So take your right hand behind you. Left hand comes onto the outside of your right knee. Inhale, find some length first through the spine, the crown of your head. Relax your shoulders, and as you exhale, think about leading the twist with your heart. So start to twist a little bit toward the right. Again, does not have to be much. Inhale, find a little bit more length and lift. And as you exhale, maybe start to twist a little bit more. You can gaze over your right shoulder. One more inhale, lift. And then exhale, softly come out of it, return back to center. And let that movement go. Return once again to a comfortable seat. And close your eyes or keep them open with a soft gaze. Reconnect with your physical body. Once again, become aware of your posture. Your head in space. Your shoulders. Where your clothes or your skin touches the chair. Notice any lingering tension or tightness still. And reconnect with your breath. Draw your awareness once again to your nostrils. And observe the sensation of your breath going in and out. Notice the quality and the texture of your breath. Is it the same as before? Or has it changed? And you can keep your eyes closed as we move into the breathing portion of our self-care. sequence. Breathing is part of a yoga practice, and breath is one of our greatest sources of energy. It is also one of the best ways to help us stay calm and grounded and in the moment. To start, we'll take 3 clearing community breaths together. And take a full, easy breath in through your nose. Long, easy breath out through your mouth. 2 more just like that. Full breath in through your nose. Long breath out. 1 more time. Full breath in. Long, easy breath out. And come back to your natural breath. Notice its texture and quality. And place 1 hand on your belly, 1 hand on your heart. And right away, notice how every time you inhale, your belly and then your heart rise. And every time you exhale, your heart and then your belly sink towards your spine. Take a few more breaths this way, just noticing. Belly, heart rise on an inhale. And heart and belly sink in towards your spine on your exhale. You can visualize a balloon in your belly. And every time you inhale, think about the balloon expanding with your breath. And every time you exhale, just let the air from the balloon go. Inhale, find expansion through the belly, maybe visualizing that balloon. And then exhale, let go of the air in the balloon. You can start to let that visualization of the balloon go. And begin to add an equal count on your inhales and exhales. On your next inhale, find a count of 4. And as an exhale, as you exhale, count to 4. Repeat this a few more times at your own count of 4. You can increase this count to a count of 6 to deepen your breath if you'd like, or you could decrease it to a count of 3. One more breath just like this. And then start to let go of the counting. Release your hands once again down onto your legs. Return to your natural breath. And you can keep your eyes closed if you like, as we move into the meditation portion of our self-care sequence. Meditation is another component of a yoga practice, and it's something I do every day, and usually before I even open my bedroom door. Meditation gives your mind and body a chance to rest and recharge. And to really move out of that fight or flight mode that chaos can put us in. And sometimes we don't even realize that we're in this fight or flight mode because we become so used to it. So meditation really helps bring that balance to an active mind, to a breath that maybe isn't as full. And during meditation, it's natural for thoughts to come up. It's not about pushing the thoughts out. It's just noticing them, acknowledging them, observing them, and then letting them go on their way. There are several types of meditation, but meditation can be as simple as watching your breath come and go, a breath-focused meditation. Or you could focus on a word or a phrase, which is called mantra meditation. And we'll practice that style today. But again, many forms of meditation, but some of the ones that I often practice is just watching your breath come and go as a simple practice you can do anytime, any place. And this mantra meditation to really hone in and focus on a word or a phrase. And so today we'll use the phrase, I am here now, to really get us in the present moment. And you can do this meditation to help you stay calm in chaos, even during the moment of chaos, or as a daily practice when you wake up, when you go to bed, as a lunchtime practice, maybe after lunch, before lunch. So think of the words, I am here now, and we'll associate them with the inhale and the exhale. So every time you inhale, think of the words, I am. And every time you exhale, think of the words, here now. Inhale, I am. Exhale, here now. I am. Here now. Keep going at your own pace. Linking each part of the sentence with the words or the breath. I am here now. I am here now. And eventually let the mantra start to fade. Bring your focus back to that simple breath-focused meditation of just watching the breath come and go. And gently open your eyes. How do you feel? So we've covered 4 self-care practices today that can help you stay calm in chaos: sleep, journaling, movement, and yoga, including poses, breathing, and meditation. And there are certainly other self-care practices, and I expand on many of them in the resources I have available to you. I know that they will be posted in the chat, and these resources really are to expand or start your self-care journey. So wherever you are, just meeting yourself where you are, using the different resources available to you. So I do teach virtual and in-person yoga classes at the Bloomingdale Park District. Right now, classes are from 7 to 7:40 on Wednesdays, Wednesday evenings, and you can register for these classes on the Bloomingdale Park District website. The next session does start tomorrow, and classes are $5 each for residents. Non-residents can attend virtually or in person as well. Another resource I have is a copy of my award-winning book, which we talked about earlier, 108 Yoga and Self-Care Practices for Busy Mamas, and my newly released book, How to Stay Calm in Chaos, an Everyday Self-Care Guide, which is specific to, you guessed it, that some of the practices that we did today, and I even expand on how to stay calm really in chaos in my new book that was just released in August. My books are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, on the MSI Press website. And again, all the links are posted in the chat. These books make great gifts for yourself, for someone else, for birthdays, showers, the holidays. I also share free yoga, meditation, and breathing exercise videos, as I mentioned, on my YouTube channel, Stand Up for Your Self-Care. And really the YouTube channel covers yoga poses, practices, meditation, breathing exercises, just a variety of all of those different ways that you can give back to yourself and put yourself on your to-do list. Various times, you know, it goes from really short to 20 plus minutes for some of my yoga practices. I also share and post self-care content on my Stand Up for Your Self-Care blog, and that's julieGtheyogi.com. I post every Sunday because Sunday is Self-Care Sunday, but really every day is Self-Care Day, right? If we choose to let it be, it can be. We can put ourselves first on our list. I just encourage you to follow me on Instagram and Facebook at julieGtheyogi, because it's another great way to get some of these other self-care tips and practices. I post to those channels as well every Self-Care Sunday. So I want you all to know that you are worthy. You are worthy of the 5 minutes, the 30 minutes, the entire day, the entire weekend, the entire month, the entire year, however long it takes to take care of you. Every single person here deserves self-care to help them stay calm in chaos so they can be healthy, happy, and at ease. I thank you so much for sharing your energy with me today, and I am so grateful for you for joining. My wish for you is that you will pause for your self-care, not just today, but every day. From my heart to each of yours, namaste.
Thank you so much, Julie. That was wonderful.
So much.
We actually have our first question, and then I just want to go over how to share a question if you would like to.
Thank you.
You can go ahead and put your questions in the chat box or the Q&A box, whichever you're more comfortable with. And I'll go ahead and ask our first one that we got. It's about how to make time to exercise and stick to it.
Yeah, so that's why we really call it a self-care practice, right? Because we might not be perfect with it, and that's okay. That's not the intention, is to be perfect. It's just to try and to be committed and dedicated to it. So I often like to start in smaller increments. So if you're thinking that 30 minutes might be too much to do every day, 15 minutes is a great start. So it's finding what you enjoy and going back to that movement that you enjoy. And if you know that you like to watch the sunrise and that's going to add a wonderful element to your day, maybe it's taking 15 minutes to just do a simple walk around your block during the sunrise, and having that commitment be something that you enjoy. You're able to move your body, and you're nourishing your whole being, really, because it's not just about the movement at that point. It's also about the nature around you, and watching the sunset and looking at the trees, etc. And I know that it can be tough to stick to an exercise schedule, especially as a lot of folks, their schedules have shifted or their schedules change every day. But I encourage you to find a time of day that that's going to be the easiest for you, to have it not even be an extra thought. So whether that's before breakfast, after breakfast, right, after lunch, etc. Just starting small is huge in the long run, because that's going to keep that consistency over time. And too, with self-care practices, not just exercise, they ebb and flow over time. So if you find that a 15-minute walk works for you over these next 2 months, it might not look like that come, a different time of year, maybe a different time of season, and you might adjust, and that's okay. We adjust our self-care practices to meet our needs. So just know that it might look different for you today than it does next week or even next month or year.
We don't have any additional questions just yet. We'll give people a moment to type one if they have one. We do have an additional comment, though. Very nice presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining, and for participating, and for just learning more about how self-care could help you stay calm in chaos.
Excellent. Well, we did list the additional resources that you provided in the chat box and a link to, if you'd like to check out her first book from the library, we have that available as well. So you can go ahead and put that on hold if you follow that link. That might be it for questions. I'll give people another moment just in case. It's always hard to tell because there's no like ... or anything like that. Right. On that note, thank you everyone for, oh, here we go. Is this part going to be on Schaumburg Library YouTube? Yes, yes. This one will actually also be on the cable access channels that are local to Hoffman Estates and Hanover Park. So if you look at the guide online, it has those channel listings for you. And I can put a link to the guide in the chat as well.
And I'm not sure too if the question is also about posting these additional resources to the YouTube channel.
Oh yes, I can post those as well.
Thank you.
Yep. There we go. All right. Thank you, everybody, and have a good evening.
Thank you so much.
Bye.